So this is very nice, especially if you want to put like your prompts and stuff. Now that said, before we leave this too far, what I would say to you also is that you do not have to do this by weeks or time. You can arrange these modules, and I've seen a few of these that are done very nicely, and I know that in Angel I had everything arranged according to assignment, not according to time. And I really, really love that system. And you can do the same thing here. Um, I ended up going with time just because the system is so time centered. It was, to me, it seemed like it was bucking. It was more trouble than it was worth trying to buck the system. So I went with the system. It's kind of like a when in Rome kind of thing. Um, so there I was in the aqueduct. No, there I there I was in the hot bath. Um, so like these things are completely up to you. I would say if you're not going to, if you want to try to do something where you're building it as you go, I think it's possible in Canvas, but I don't think. I think what you're going to have to do is somewhat. You'll probably have to go very easy on the due dates. Like you're going to have to, you know, plan on not using the grading functions um, that heavily, and relying on manual things, because once you start setting up everything, it's like you almost have to set up everything. That's why I wanted to do this, because everything, like you could just go in here and put, like the intro to your first deadline draft here, you know. And all the intros here are basically like the assignment prompts, by the way. So I have assignment description there. Okay, I'm going to leave student view. Okay, so we can get back in and take a look at stuff. Okay. I also have stuff here where, because I didn't like, not because I didn't like, but because I thought the book didn't have enough things, I started making up pages of my own. And one thing that I like to do is I like to add, um, you know, different things. So, like if I have like a page here, I'll try to add the PDF of the page. This is where I was telling you about some images that when you start making pages in Canvas, you can do certain things and certain things you cannot do. And one of the things you cannot do is you can't add certain image types, and you can add, however, PDFs. And so that is somewhat what we're doing here. Okay, so let me show you a little bit here. Okay, so this is a this is basically something I made up in a Word doc and then pasted into Canvas. Part of the reason why I did that isn't because you can't do it in Canvas. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with text. You can add visuals and all that stuff. But this kind of stuff here, where you have like a layout, these are things that take like a Herculean effort. Like you can do this in Canvas, but it takes, like, you have to like end up like making, like a table or something to try to like fit in an image and text, like in the same row. And I mean, it really gets um, very difficult and very user unfriendly to try to do stuff like this. And so it's easier just doing it in a word processing unit and then just kind of like pasting it in here. But you can see that this is blurry. Okay, so there's limits to this. Okay, but at this point, what also happens is when you're doing these things, you run into time constraints, and you might not have time to do everything, like in Canvas.